Happy Thursday. Welcome to Open Office Hours. We've got Jason Coleman and Andrew Lima with us today. If you are watching and you did submit a question prior to our inbox, let us know that you're here so we can definitely grab that question for you. Otherwise, we are going to answer the questions that are in the comments and people who are actively participating. So yeah, I think we should just dive right in and start because these AMAs can last forever, and it is late for Andrew, so
got a hard stop.
We'll get him to his supper.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
So the first question, go ahead, Jason.
Oh, it's good. You said dive right in, but I thought we didn't introduce folks in case they're new. That I'm Jason, co-owner of Paid Memberships Pro and the original lead developer, and then Andrew Lima on the call. What is your title lately, Andrew? You're one of the directors here.
Currently, director of operations. I've been with PMPro 9 years now. Jason and Kim have been on a long journey with me, and I've been on this journey with them. So excited to be it's not every day that we get to have a call with Jason and myself and Sam. So it's gonna be fun.
We're tons of experience here, and we're missing Kim, but otherwise we got like two of the brains in this room that are, planning the future of Paid Memberships Pro. So we can answer all kinds of questions.
Yeah, it should be fun. I did try prior to this event to get people to throw out security questions and Zapier and dev and really target what y'all are experts in, but we'll see what we get thrown at. To start, Craig commented right before we went live and wants to know where the name Stranger Studios came from.
Studios. So it's like there's I don't know if the story is boring. It seems boring to me, but anyway, the reality is I came up with the name when I was in college, and I thought I'd be making video games for a living. And so that was what I thought was a cool name for a video game company, Stranger Studios. And I registered the domain and posted a bunch of my early, game development stuff on there. Had a cool logo that was based on the Neighborhood Watch, little thiefy looking guy. It was really sneaky looking. But then Kim and I were always building websites for folks, for work through school. And when I graduated, I didn't go on to make video games. I went on to do other stuff, and we already had this web presence and already had examples of our work. And so it kind of just slowly morphed into our web development brand because it was already there. But we used to tell people in the early days, we're all strangers on the internet. So it's we're admitting hey, we're online. Most of our clients were online. Most of the people we interact with are online, and we're strangers, at least starting out. And so it's kind of admitting that up front. And then it's a bit of a quirky name. So it did work as a barrier for really snobby customers that we didn't want to work with, would just look the other direction. And we were okay with that. We got lots of kind of interesting clients because of the name. So we liked it for that reason.
I think that's
Stranger
fun.
Studios. All right, fun. Yeah.
Okay, so looking back through the comments, NMSSA On Target podcast used to have a unique ID appear on membership cards. However, after checking the cards, it no longer appears on the cards. Unless Jason or Andrew has a quick answer to that one, I would definitely say reach out to us because that sounds like it's very unique to your site.
Unique ID on your cards and no longer appears. I wonder if their template got updated, or Andrew, if you have ideas.
Yeah. So we've got documentation around a custom membership ID. I think that if you search that term, we'll come up with the solution to generate that ID, or even the member ID shown on the membership card, templates. And it does sound like either that data is not updating or generating correctly, or the template is updated and it's just missing now. That's not a feature that's built into the membership card or PMPro, to generate a unique member 123, whatever the code is. So it could be quite a few reasons, and it would be best to reach out to support.
Yeah, we probably need some more info.
Yeah, a bit more info around that.
Awesome. Okay, so I do see that David Kincaid is here, and David submitted prior of what is PMPro doing for cybersecurity?
So it's a good question. I mean, it's a broad question. We can give a broad answer. But this is really important to us. I don't know if folks have noticed, but I forget which update it was last year. We added like a security tab to the settings. And we even think of it like we have a wizard. We go through an overhaul next year or so. But our thinking is like once you're done with the wizard, you kind of set things up a little bit. Definitely more to set up. But it's like you have to set up security now. Like it's kind of like if we have 5 steps to our wizard, it's like the hidden 6th step. It's, you know, in the settings, and we're like, oh, this should actually be part of the wizard. Like this stuff is so important. And I think of the analogy of if you plug a Windows computer in particular onto the internet, it like immediately gets hacked. Like, so a website is the same way now. Like, your website will immediately get hacked if it's anywhere online. Like I saw like a news item about a security vulnerability in like another not a WordPress plugin, and it was something like 30 minutes after the exploit was publicized. Like it was already actively being blocked by like, I forget if it was WordFence or PatchStack or all those guys started seeing it in their logs. And I think this was kind of always the case, but AI makes it even worse. Like you just give the vulnerability to the AI and say, okay, write a script that goes around the internet and hacks it. And the hackers have lists of WordPress websites and what plugins are on. So if an exploit gets advertised somehow, then they know like who to go target. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, so what we're doing is that security tab has a bunch of features on it. One that's really important is I think just about every website on the internet should use Cloudflare to block stuff. So Cloudflare, if you notice ever went to a website and sometimes it's like, are you a human? And you have to check a box before you see it. That's something they're doing. They don't do that for every load. They do that, you know, if a site's under attack or it seems like it's getting a lot of traffic. But they are like, they have an awesome free offering and their paid offerings are good too. They're like the web application firewall that protects you from a lot of these automated attacks. So it's kind of hopefully, I don't know exactly how it works. Cloudflare has AI of their own, but either like 30 minutes before or 30 minutes after like that exploit is getting out, Cloudflare has a rule that says if I see something that looks like this, you know, exploit, I'm going to block it. So like Cloudflare will block like a lot of the kind of big attacks. And then we have integration with Akismet for spam. We have like our own internal spam tracking that we keep improving, and it kind of detects like weird things that happen on your website. And if, you know, more than 10 weird things happen within 15 minutes, it blocks that IP address. And we also have CAPTCHAs. So like you can use reCAPTCHA or Cloudflare's turnstile on your checkout pages and stuff. And so that kind of protects spam and hacking on the most vulnerable aspects of the website. But other than that, we have, you know, like, I think there's a link on our site to request, submit a security vulnerability. Like we work with the big security companies when they reach out and responsibly disclose the vulnerability to us. We jump on them right away and figure out how to, you know, fix those things and push them out and try to treat the security folks well. So it's not like we're not upset with them. It's not, I think some companies sometimes have like an antagonistic relationship with the security companies. And it's like, no, like the more the merrier. And the fact that our code is all open source and even our add-ons and everything is available for free through GitHub. This a lot, like people don't have to pay us $600 to gain access to the latest version of our Plus add-ons. They're all on GitHub. So security researchers are able to, you know, find vulnerabilities and all those that and we do our best. And we have obviously internal development policies around, you know, doing security checks on the stuff that the code that we launch, but it's a never ending battle. Yeah. So anyway, that's like something, I don't know if I missed it.
I think just to add on to that, like, you know, we obviously do the best we can to circumvent like these bad issues that crop up, but also as a side owner, like take the responsibility to make sure, you know, you're running like 2-factor authentication on your accounts. You know, like Cloudflare is a good example that we integrate with, like have, you know, that CDN and like web application firewall, and make sure you're on a good host. They've got often their own firewalls and settings and like DDoS prevention, you know. So there's more steps that you can take beyond Paid Memberships Pro or even any plugin that you install on your WordPress site to secure your site even further. So yeah.
Yeah, that was I think it was a pretty specific answer for a broad question.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and Maybe I have a blog post about that, or should. I think too. And I see that Mancy there mentioned security metric, which we can check out. There's a bunch of like security plugins and apps and things that also have other recommendations, and a lot of that is good. Yep.
Okay, so I also see that Jill is here from pre-submitted questions, as well as Kelly. I'm going to pull up Jill's question. Kelly, I will tell you, we did look over your questions prior to going live, and I will be emailing you back early this afternoon when we get off the call, just because of the extended questions. But Jill wants to know, a client is running a membership drive and wants to offer a deal to members who renew early. Andrew, you had posted in our document about this one.
Yeah. I'll go. So we do have an article on our website on how to configure this, and you can also apply like a discount code if you detect someone's renewing like 60 days early from their renewal period. It requires a little bit of code, nothing too extravagant in terms of like what the code does. It's almost a copy paste and just adjust values to get it working to how you need. You can dive a bit more deeper and build like these custom conditions and rules within PMPro. It's very flexible, and in customizing like how much you want to charge a customer during the checkout process and things like that. So definitely, if you're comfortable with coding, it's almost like an unlimited sort of playing field, if I can call it that, and how clever you want to get with like proration and things like that. And speaking of proration, we also have the proration add-on, so that will also automatically prorate the amounts if they're switching levels, if that is a case of like upgrading to another membership level. Yep.
And I think if the custom code there and the addition of a proration add-on makes sure that people, they already have an existing membership and it figures out the exact amount it should charge, which is really useful for a certain kind of sensitive user. But I think there's a lo-fi solution too, which is to create discount codes and set an expiration date on the code, so they only have so long to use it, and you figure out like what's a good deal for the time period of the code. And if you're giving the customer a good deal, they often aren't like, oh, like thanks for the $20 discount, but I should also get an extra $2.32 because of the proration. Like, they're getting a discount as a discount, and you can kind of do the math yourself. So a lo-fi solution is just create discount codes, email them to the list. And I guess that's if you have kind of set expiration date, like everyone renews on the same time, which I guess I was assuming was part of the question, because it sounds like that's a common use case when you want to get them to sign up early. So that's another option.
Awesome. I do see that Carl is also in the comments from our pre-submitted doc questions, and the question is a little too extensive for me to pop up a banner for it, but they are using PayPal as their membership payment processor. Subscription memberships are automated, but we have to manually enter the membership information for people who want to pay separately each year. Plus, we still have to be able to accept checks. Is there a way to have subscribers, yearly separate payers, and check payers all use the automated system so we don't have to do a manual entry? That's the first part of the question.
And okay, I need like more sips of coffee to understand this. Is it landing for you, Andrew? You get what he's saying here? Is there a way to have subscribers, yearly separate payers, and check payers all use the automated system, so they don't have to do an entry?
Something that's coming to mind, like just as on my knee-jerk reaction here, is Auto-Renewal Checkbox. So if you want to like do a one-time payment and don't auto-renew, you can use that add-on. That will go through PMPro's checkouts. You can use PayPal with the Add Pay by Check add-on. That will let you switch between gateways. Another option that is maybe a little bit hacky in a sense is just have multiple membership level offerings, and then like we've got I don't know if it's an official blog post, but I've seen a code snippet flying around where you can set the payment gateway based on the membership level ID. So you can say like, both levels get the same permissions in terms of content and access, but level 2, if they select it, it will be like use check to pay. That's
it's
also
kind
an
of
option.
And I don't know if it helps. Like, there's like a rule of thumb when you're deciding, should this be one level with like add-ons and custom options that have different payment plans and things like that, or should I use different levels? And the rule of thumb I have is if you want to easily be able to filter the members by a certain thing, like make that a membership level. It's kind of like, do you want to email those people separately? Do you want to export those people separately? Do you want to search those people separately? Do you want, like, all those? It's easy to filter by membership level. And so there is a downside. Like, you have to check multiple boxes when you're restricting content, and you might have to kind of, explain your membership levels to folks. Some of this answer like really depends on the specific case, but yeah, like Andrew suggesting, like maybe make them different levels. It might make sense if you really treat these members in different ways. But I guess he was, auto-renewal checkbox and the add pay by check, the pay by check add-on, like adds it as a second gateway option. Like you could have one level that is recurring one time and pay by check. It's all the level. And the pay by check tries to automate the payments as much as possible. I mean, it can't automate everything. Like a human being has to process the check and update the status. So I guess see how far you get with that. And if you have specific follow-up questions, that's the kind of stuff our support helps with.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing, I think for both manual payment gateway and pay by check add-on, you're always going to end up with that pending status, and that's going to be a manual process regardless. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
I think so.
You're always going to have to go in as an admin or membership manager and say
the pay by check is clever. Like so the first time people pay, it's pending and they don't have access. And I think it works this way if I remember. So if you pay by check, it doesn't give you access until an admin says, yeah, I actually got the check. But when they renew, we have a grace period built in, and it's in the settings. So you can say for 7 days, we expect, like, they already paid us in the past. I trust they're going to pay us. So in that 7 days, their membership is still active, and it just assumes the payment's going to go through. And you still have to update the order from pending to success, and that keeps their membership alive. But the pay by check add-on is kind of tries to be smart about people who are, and there's a difference between new checkouts and renewing. So it gives people renewing the benefit of the doubt so they don't lose their membership while the check's in transit. Yeah. And what was this? There was a second part of that one.
The second part was, more of like the calendar year membership style.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. So
which we do get a lot of questions on.
Yeah, this is why we want to build this into the plugin, and it's like really hard. Like the UX is hard, right? So when people say, and it's really, I think it's cool that this person, what's their name, Carl, is like actually digging into the question, because sometimes it's like, it's even hard just for a human to answer what they want to happen. They say everything should renew on January 1st. And you're like, cool, done. And you're like, oh, but wait, actually, if they check out before October, they need to pay for the current year. But if they check out after October, don't make them pay for the current year, only make them pay for the next year. So if I'm not wrong, so Andrew, what is our solution for this? Do we have a post on this or custom code for that when they're setting up the expiration date?
Yeah, you can use set expiration date in conjunction with subscription delay, depending on the membership level. Like if you have an automated recurring level, or like a level that is going to expire and they need to manually check out. That also works with Auto-Renewal Checkbox. I believe there should be a linked article on our site somewhere. I remember reading it, that you can say, check the checkbox to auto-renew, and then they'll renew on December 31st of this year, for example.
I found the blog post for that, and I just put the link in the comment.
Yeah, and I feel like I just realized, this is the opposite of the other question. So they're like, I want a discount if they renew early. And then this person's saying, actually, if it's so early, they have to pay for the current year. But if it's close to the deadline, don't make them pay for the current year, only pay for so it's actually like a discount for late renewal in a sense. Anyway, that's interesting. So hopefully the documentation helps, and you can follow up if you have specific questions.
We do have a snippet around that, like timed renewal, where it's specifically for this, like in October. If you renew, it kind of pushes it out by next year. And if you renew before October, we like there's a code snippet that like swaps the dates around using the subscription delay add-on specifically for this case. So yeah, we've been playing around with some of that stuff.
Yeah, I use a similar thing like that for my quilting guild, because they do half price on the second half of the year. If like, so if you join like July or later for the second half of the year, they do half price. So I have something similar like that. Okay, so next question from Mancy. Why is PMPro not keeping up to date with updating Braintree SDK?
Like the tough question, we have to answer this one.
Throwing you a hardball.
Yeah, because I told Andrew not to, right? Like I'm having flashbacks to our meeting last week.
Yeah,
it's not an easy decision for us. So I'll say that at least. We, like we definitely have the mindset we're building this membership platform. We want to make the best software possible. It's open source, and when our users need something, I feel like our gateway, hey, you need a new gateway, it's like bug us. It says something. It's like get up on like organize a mob or something. I don't know if it still says that, but it used to be like get a bunch of people that like, because if a lot of people need this, we want to support it for our users. That all said, we had a dream that when there's integration with these other companies, that it would be we help and they help, and we support our common user. And that assumption, like, I live in a fairy tale land that doesn't exist. Like, it's weird. And when I'm on my soapbox now, I just double checked. I was a PayPal stockholder. PayPal, who offers the Braintree gateway, made almost $8 billion in the last 3 months. We've made, I don't know, it's like 5 orders of magnitude less than $8 billion in the last 3 months. And so it's like, it is wild. I like it. It puts me for a loop that these giant companies don't help us build these things. And my theory, I call it like we're the sucker of last resort. We also like have a bunch of users who use Braintree and they make money, and collectively across all our gateways, all our customers make like $500 million a year. And so it's kind of like, and there's agencies that help, there's consultants that build stuff, and everyone builds stuff. And then it's like, we're open source, we build it, we give it away. And it's kind of like, we support these gateways. So we're put in this tough position where we're supporting these integrations with much larger companies and kind of not getting help. And then we have to make a tough decision. And I think for a while, we're trying to build things in a generic way to make it easier to manage a bunch of gateways that all work kind of differently. And that's falling apart because all these gateways also are offering new features, and Stripe and PayPal, Express. Braintree's kind of, Braintree and Authorize.net are also weird ones to integrate with, because at various times, I don't know, is Braintree deprecated or not? Like, like at some point they were like, we're going to stop supporting this. So we're even getting mixed signals of like, is this going to be supported by their own company on the other side? Anyway, that's all to say. We have to make a tough decision. Like, and we're like, hey, we could support Stripe and PayPal Express, like the default PayPal, really, really well. Let's put our development time into doing that. And it's kind of these other like 3rd-tier gateways, like someone else, like I can't pay people to manage this. Someone else has to pick it up. So that said, Andrew and the team, like, so I say that, and then they're like, and then I'm like, hey, we have to deprecate. And you're like, but we got like, I don't know, a couple hundred people using Braintree and it's going to break for them. And they're like, okay, what can we do? And we say, hey, if it's a little bit of work, let's like just fix it. Like if supporting the new API is literally just changing like the endpoint and it magically works, like why not? Like, let's do it. We can help them. But I feel like we had a warning email go out like a year ago. It's like, hey, like Braintree's on the chopping block. And if not, like I apologize, our communication is not well. But Braintree's on the chopping block. Like if you're using Braintree, I would start looking into using different systems, like either different gateway, or if you're not using a bunch of Pay Memberships Pros features, you should try to find a gateway that supports Braintree and like says they love Braintree. So there is a version. So anyway, that all said, if you're like, Jason, I have Braintree and I need it to work for the next few months until I can figure out a new plan, I think we're going to have like a version of the API that like, we're going to share the code that we have. It's open source. And so it may not be 99% complete for what you need, but it's kind of like, it may be something that you can use on your own. like at your own risk for a while, and it's not fully supported by us. And that's like, there are people out there, and in my mind, I bet there's a Braintree user who has their own Braintree gateway and they're just not sharing. So it's kind of like, I mean, that might work and you might get some legs out of that, but that's why, like, we made a tough decision internally. We're like, hey, we have to we're going to support Stripe and PayPal directly, and everything else we're going to slowly deprecate and try to help manage people to either jump ship and move to a different, gateway solution, or, kind of manage the gateway on their own. That's like our current thinking, because we can't support the integration fully.
We
And
also
if
do
you-
have
yeah.
we have
Okay.
documentation on switching payment gateways as well. So if you're in that boat and you can't find it, let us know. We can point you to that.
Yeah.
Right.
And what I would love is, like, I'm here and PayPal's up here and there's a bunch of people using Braintree and PayMasters Pro in between. Like, if you want to keep using Braintree and, like, you can hire a developer, like, it's for a single site, like, and our support will help you. Like, well, like, you have to, here's, like I said, we'll give away the code that we have and we'll point in the right direction. We've helped people build custom gateways all the time. We still kind of, and when they have issues, you can come and, like, here's the log, here's the thing that's happening. I wonder, like, so if you have development help or you find development help to maintain the gateway, like, that is a solution, and we'll kind of help manage someone else to maintain the Braintree gateway. Or if you want to sell a Braintree gateway as a third-party solution, we'll help you build that plugin. It's like something we don't want to support directly, but we can support the developer supporting that, like, very well.
Yeah, absolutely. Our premium support will definitely be there to help. Okay, so Larry wants to know, is there a process that I can use to create a member directory from Google Sheets?
Have you seen this, Andrew?
I will take this one. Not something that I've seen done regularly, but like a no-code solution would be Zapier. Zapier is a good way to automate a lot of these sort of, like, I'm going to capture information manually from Google Sheets or like my CRM or whatever system you're using, push the data to Zapier. Zapier then pushes it to Paid Memberships Pro. It creates the, like, WordPress user accounts, gives them a membership level, automatically adds them into the membership directory. I think one of the things to look out for that wouldn't be supported is, like, if you're using the maps integration with your membership directory and Zapier and things like that, you can't pass the address of the member through to PMPro to, like, geocode and do it on the fly like that. So, like, that's one of the things that might get a little bit tricky or require custom development. You could always just add the base information of the member to your site using Zapier. We do have a trigger, or it's called an action, on Zapier side, that PMPro receives this information. You would use I think it's a create membership level action, and then you can create the WordPress user through that action if they don't exist, and then assign them the membership level, and they automatically show on the membership directory. And then you can do, like, some fun things with Zapier where it's like, if you update the spreadsheet row, then we're going to update the member or update the WordPress user. So you might have to kind of chain some sort of events from Zapier to, like, WordPress and PMPro, because WordPress also has, like, a native integration into Zapier, and it might be able to, like, create and update the WordPress user itself. And then we've got endpoints for updating the membership level, canceling the membership level, and things like that. So you can kind of control it depending if you're removing or adding to the Google Sheets and things like that.
I think there's a couple of questions I would ask first too. So I think one is, so Andrew's talking, if you want to keep maintaining that spreadsheet, you can have that as part of the link that integrates with PayMasters Pro through Zapier, which is cool. If you just want to start with the spreadsheet, you could import those as members using our import tools. Export this Google Sheet as CSV and then import from CSV. And now those members are in Paid Memberships Pro and WordPress. And you kind of use Paid Memberships Pro WordPress as your source of truth for your membership, and try to get rid of your spreadsheet and train everyone else in your organization to stop using the spreadsheet, which that's been tough sometimes. But then a question I would also ask, like, this comes up with our membership directory solution, is that, and we got to be more clear in this and how we present and market it, that our tool is really good for directories of people. and literally directories of WordPress users. So every person in the directory gets a member. A PMPro member is a WordPress user, so has an account to log in. And you can kind of like tweak that and fudge it and do it if you want, but you kind of like, now you're kind of going into odd territory. So if your directory is not necessarily like a one-to-one mapping of accounts to people, Pay Memberships Pro is not actually a good solution for that sort of directory. And so like if it's a listings, if it's like a directory of like car washes, but some people own 5 car washes and it doesn't make sense to create 5 different members for each car wash or something, or, you know, some professional associations, when it's mostly one site, and if it's multiple sites, it could just be a user meta block. Like I have extra locations, like that's good. It's people are logging in, it's handling members. So that's something to keep in mind when you're thinking about like using our membership directory. And if it's not the case, if you really are building like a directory of things that are related to people and not one-to-one accounts, there's tools like Gravity Kit and Data Kit that are really good at building a form and then displaying table data online and doing lots of kind of listing type things. But those are big questions to ask. Like, is this a directory of people and I'm okay with them having logins? Even if maybe sometimes the majority of people don't use the login, but it's like literally a different email address and WordPress user per member in the directory. That's cool. Like use our software and you can import those members or link them up through Zapier. But if you're building some other kind of directory, probably look for other solutions.
All right. Next question from Alex. It's a bit of a technical question. Is there a way to prevent auto-generating user accounts when someone kicks the tires in Stripe checkout but comes back to the checkout page?
I take this one. It's another one of those tough questions, I think. We have a blog post on this, so we could find it and share it. And it's like why we create a user account when people check out. And I mean, this is when there was like a tough decision, and who knows if in the future we go back. Probably not, but we kind of, you know, anyway, like this is a technical question. So I could get technical on, are we going to change this in the future? But right now we made the hard decision that when you start checking out and we got your username and password, we create a user with that username and password and email. And it's a user in the WordPress site. And then we do that as like the first step. And then we try to pay. So they go to Stripe or PayPal or somewhere to pay. And then we create orders. And then when they pay, they come back and then we change their membership level. So like the key thing to know when you do this is you can't lock your WordPress site based only on user accounts. You have to lock it by membership level as well. So that's why we add a membership level setting. And if the user doesn't have the level, they can't do anything on their site anyway. They get the level when they pay. And that's like the mindset that like we built the solution to work for. It used to be gateway dependent, and sometimes it was nice. It's like, don't even let them into the site until they pay. And honestly, we had a lot of like really hacky code to make that work. So it had to handle every gateway, and it had to kind of do like what was a little bit of a scary thing was like, remember what the password was that they entered. So you wanted the user experience to be, I enter my password, I pay, and then it didn't work. So unravel it and pretend nothing happened. But then don't make them enter their password again. You know, if the payment goes through a second later when they hit something next time, then, so we would like remember the password in a session variable, which is like a little bit of a scary thing to do. And then, you know, we even could like remember a version of the password like into the database in case like they pay, you know, they're paying by check. So 2 days later it pays and we create the user then. So the process really gets simplified if we say, hey, for every gateway, no matter how they're checking out and what's going on, create the user first. And there's kind of a reason that, I don't know if you noticed this, like, it's a little bit different. When we first launched Pay Memberships Pro, it was a big selling feature. It's like one page checkout. They create their account, they pay all on one page. And the internet has moved to like big multi-step checkout. So if you're on Amazon or something like that, like a lot of these big sites, you don't even put username. It's like, what's your email? Okay, cool. That looks like a real email. Or I don't know who you are. I looked you up using all these third-party tools. I've never seen you before. Or they're like, I know who you are. I know what region you're in. So I'm going to, you know, route your traffic to a different, you know, server that only handles people in Europe and stuff like that for GDPR. So you'll notice like a lot of big sites, they break it up like almost like field by field. It's like, what's your email? Okay, cool. Now what's your password? Okay, cool. now what's this? Now that we have an account, what's this other stuff we can do? Okay, now that you have this other stuff, now we can check out, and checkout is multi-step. So the internet's moving towards breaking this up, and it, like, you know, for some of the reasons I said, and then also we can do neat things like abandoned cart functionality. So we have the user account, we, you know, they check out, and then like it fails, you have their email and you can follow up with them and be like, hey, I saw you tried to check out on my site. There's anything I can do? And you can try to get that sale. You also avoid like this inverse option where people used to pay, but then the user account creation would fail, which was also like a really bad situation to be in. Like someone gave you money, the money's in Stripe or PayPal, but then, you know, WordPress, Paid Memberships Pro, or more likely an integration, like something else you're doing on user creation kind of fails. So it's a little safer to be like, can we even create a user, or is there some problem about creating a user before we try to pay? And then, I don't know, technical question, so hopefully the person can understand the technicality of it. But you think of it this way, like we create the user first, and now that's like a record that we can link to everything, because we have to create an order, so we keep track of the order. And so this order is for this user. And in the past, we would create like a fake user, like this kind of like session variable thing that we kept track. And then when the real user came in, we swapped it in. So it's kind of like, let's just create the user, and we're trying to train our users and build tooling so that just because someone's a user, that doesn't mean they have access to your site. We have this thing in the users menu that's like, I think they're called like likely spam users or something like that. Or so if you're using PMPro and you go to the users tab, there's like a new tab so you can filter and see people who like started checkout but never did anything else on your website. So they're like not real, and you can safely delete them, especially after like a week or two. And we're building tooling soon that will kind of automatically like forget those users that never did anything on your site. So that's our case. We're like, hey, we're going to use the user, WordPress user, as a unique record for people and keep track of them and make sure they can't do other things on the site. And we're going to build tooling so that you can manage. Like we have a bunch of custom tools that we're going to build into the product, because it's like someone who logged into the site 5 years ago but hasn't done anything doesn't have to have an account anymore, and you can kind of safely delete it. So anyway.
Yeah, so Alex added in their scenario that they don't have the new member set up a password until after checkout is complete. So someone tried to sign up and they were then be prompted to log in, but they don't have a password.
I mean, so are they customizing our checkout page to auto-generate the password? And I think we have, if you're doing it on your own, maybe you need to find our blog post on how to do that. And our blog post, I think it emails them the password when it does that. Or
what post are you talking about?
I mean, don't we have a post on editing the or streamlining the checkout page?
We have a post on simplifying the checkout page. 3 ways to simplify.
Yeah. And is that like don't ask for password is one of them?
I don't think so.
I think you could include like the temporary password that's generated in the email, and then just rely on them to set the password after the checkout's completed, like on that confirmation page.
Reduce form field.
I feel like we've helped people do this. So I don't know if it's our code that you're using to do that, but hopefully
we do have one that only requires email at sign up.
Yeah, and then it like automatically generates the password, and I think it emails them the password, but I'm not sure. So they should get that email even if they didn't complete checkout. So I don't know, but if we maybe have to take it offline, like if Alex custom coded it some other way, he needs to try to find our custom code and see how, map it to his. Or I don't know like what the solution would be is, I mean, it's like instead of like, hey, when the payment fails, delete the user. Like when the payment fails, keep the user around and try to help them get logged back in. Or I know a lot of people like, so there's like lost password, reset password is sometimes like part of, so if you want them to, they didn't lose their password, they never got it, you can kind of, in your copy, or hey, you have to set your password, click here to set your password. And it's a link to the forgot password with the email filled in. And then when they click that, it starts the process of like resetting, but for them it's setting. So you could tweak the language. And And yeah, if you're a paying member, you got custom code for us, like you can follow up on like that. It sounds like maybe some aspect of it is missing on our side or on the implementation, and we can help with that.
And speaking of custom code,
yeah.
we're a little over our halfway mark. So I'm going to
Okay.
just give a quick rundown of upcoming events that we have coming up before we dive into more questions. So our next event is going to be Coding with Sam, May 23rd, which should be next Friday, if I have my dates correct, at 9 a.m. Eastern. To see what I will be coding live, I post that in our Slack community the day prior. So if you're interested into seeing what I will possibly be customizing on my demo site, I would recommend joining our Slack community, which you can do that through this link here, papershippspro.com/Slack. You do have to have at least a free account with that to join, but I do recommend joining. We also have some exclusive community events, like a Google Meet session is happening on Tuesday as well. And then our next open office hours is going to be May 29th. We're going to be talking about selling your membership business with Jason. This is a tough one because we don't ever want your business to fail or to have to sell it. We want you to grow your nest egg and have a successful business, but sometimes it's inevitable. So Jason's going to be talking about that.
Sometimes you're selling because you got a really good offer. And
That's true.
Not a sad thing. But a lot of times, succession planning and stuff like that, if you have a business and you want to pass it on to your kids or figure out how to sell it so you can pass the assets on to your kids, that kind of a thing. It's part of the discussion too.
And now we'll go back to questions. I have to catch up to where we were. Okay.
I'm trying to check out now and having issue. Oh, I see that in our private chat.
I think there's an email in the inbox about the checkout issue of someone upgrading to Plus on our site. So I will contact them. I'll follow up via email as well. And I know I'm saying a lot of that this session, but I really will be in the inbox. So you will get an email response from me today. I promise. Cameron wants to know, is there already a way to verify membership outside of the PMPro project/domain, perhaps via API? For example, they want to grant access from another community website to only active members.
Andrew, you can take this. I think you programmed.
Yeah, I built the REST API around this. Yeah, so we've got REST API endpoints that you can query against like the WordPress user ID or email, if I'm not mistaken, to get like their membership level, and you can write custom checks on your community website to, make that API call once they're authenticated using whatever system that's like not WordPress, or if it's another WordPress site, you can, like cross-reference and cross-check your sites using the REST API. We do have documentation around like the REST API and endpoints that are available. Thanks. And also like PMPro is extendable. So, like Jason said, the code's open source. You can always add your own custom REST routes that you want to do, or like any specific sort of information you want to get from PMPro. You can always extend the like WordPress REST API from there. If you're using like a multi-site, PMPro does have like inherit from the parents site on the network. So PMPro is installed on the parent sites on the multi sites, and then you got like subsite A, which is community.yourdomain.com. You can inherit the membership level access and like a bit of the UI from PMPro on your subsites, and you can automatically like restrict based on membership level that they own on the main network side. And that means you can have like 5 different subsites on the network and still reference the parent sites and give them access to X, Y, and Z on site 1 and access to ABC on site 2. If you are running a network and a multi-site, that's an easier way than doing REST API calls. But if you're non-WordPress and you're integrating, it's best to interact through the REST API. That's what we've got available. Hope that helps.
Yeah, I think so. And I did share 2 links of our documentation for the REST API, and then Jason shared a higher level link of integrating with APIs.
Oh, cool. Yeah, and we like leverage like the built-in WordPress authentication on the REST API. It's not like we're building our own. We're just extending what WordPress ships with, and so you get all the benefits of like, and all the efforts and benefits that come with the WordPress REST API. So if you're already interacting with the WordPress REST API, that's a mouthful. You can just start interacting with PMPro's sort of endpoints and just get that data without doing too much extra work and coding. So yeah.
And I just added a third link for single sign-on. So.
Yeah, oftentimes single sign-on is something you also want to do at the same time as you're doing this. So we have some resources on that. If I move around weird, there's a really scary bee like on my ottoman, and I'm keeping an eye on it.
Jason and bugs.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. We have NMSSA On Target podcast. Do you ever have a in-house training course? I would assume that means like how to use PMPro.
Yeah.
Should I take
What's
this
your
one?
answer?
You should
take, yeah.
Also some feedback, but Sam, go ahead.
So I highly recommend our open office hours. We do have specific topics that do dive into aspects of PagerShips Pro, and we demo a lot on screen of those sessions, and it's a wide variety of topics too. So if there's a specific topic, we're always listening as to what we could produce for you guys. In addition to that, we do have a lot of documentation. A lot of it does have videos in addition with it. If it's initial setup of the PMPro plugin, we do offer that in 3 different ways. We offer it as our documentation pages, we offer it as a course, and we also have a downloadable PDF that you can then has links to follow more documentation areas. And then our community is also our Slack community is a great place to get peer support, as well as the PMPro team is in there. I am the community manager, and we will point you to documentation as well.
I just looked at this site. If it's the same person, we had a call scheduled earlier in the week and it got canceled, and it looked like you canceled, but also I was updating my calendar every weekend, so something weird might have happened with it. So if you still want that call with me, reach out again and let's set up that call. I think we can chat that way about some specific things, but I think Sam nailed it on the kinds of support that we do offer. We don't have any kind of way of coming in-house to do training. I don't even know if you have a really good budget and can pay travel expenses and stuff, like I think a couple of the companies at the top of our /developers page, like do that kind of a thing. But
for a second, I thought you were going to say if you can pay travel expenses, we'll send Sam. But I was like, well,
yeah, we'll send Sam. Maybe you want to go to New Mexico?
Yeah.
No, okay.
I've never been. Maybe never been to New Mexico. Okay. So next question from our friend Robert: does PMPro let us track and run reports on churn, retention, lifetime value, and various other KPIs?
This is one of my favorite topics too.
Reports could be a whole another open office hours with Jason, actually.
Yeah, actually it would be good because
that would be a really cool one to do.
I'm about to say like no, basically, to this question, like do it on your own. But we definitely can improve our reports. And it's good to get the feedback for folks. But I think the kinds of KPIs that you're using, if you're only using Stripe does a pretty good job, and there's lots of tools that build into Stripe that will give you estimates for these kinds of things. So you can look into those. But then my kind of short answer is I don't know if I have public writing on this, but stuff like lifetime value, monthly recurring revenue and stuff like that. There's a lot of content on the internet telling you this is easy to calculate, and churn and stuff like that. And I often joke that like a lot of people worry about churn too early. I don't know if that's the case for this user. Maybe they're worried about it now, but like when your business becomes mature and then you have some clout, so you start talking online and getting attention, like churn is really important to you because your business is mature. And then a lot of people starting out like worry, I think, too much about churn and like calculating a churn rate that's like hard to do. But those things are actually really hard to, there's like a Shopify blog post I like to link to that has like Lambda calculus and stuff for how they calculate monthly recurring revenue. And it's like, it's not necessarily easy, but there are some easy formulas and they're not that hard to do. So what I normally recommend is like, get the data from us that you do get from us, and in your own spreadsheet once a month or however often you need to know it, like calculate those values. And maybe we could do like a roundup, or I'm sure you know these, like everyone, like ask ChatGPT, it'll give you like really good formulas. You can calculate your churn and all that stuff. And I always say, and my team knows this, we do a scorecard, and it's like, we're not going to automate aspects of the scorecard because like going in, finding the data, plugging it into the formula, like forces you to interact with the data. And so, for example, if your monthly recurring revenue is dropping, is it because people are canceling or there are fewer new people, or is it because your price is lower, the type of plan that's lower? And you don't get that from just a number, you get that from digging into it. So it is kind of fun. And like, I definitely, but anyway, there are reports that we show. So I encourage you, like, go to the reports tab at PMPro. You get some of this stuff. There's like a mobile reports dashboard add-on that's really cool. It gives you like an awesome app, you know, and you kind of like on your phone can get stats. So if you like, I do that to get my dopamine hit several times a day and see what's going on. But yeah, I am interested. Like, I think eventually we'll get to something like this, but I always give less precedence to figuring these things out. Cause I mean, it's like, I see them, they're kind of like navel gazing vanity metrics, and it's like calculating it is a better activity than just seeing it in your dashboard. So I encourage people to try to calculate those things on your own. And we do have kind of like a cancellation reports that are, you know, so you can figure out, I don't think it's a customer. Maybe we have a custom report on our cancellation rate. But we focus on that. Like, so if you are kind of further along and worried about churn, like your year 2 or 3 or 4 of your business, like you kind of like, if you have 10% churn, you know, if you can get that to like 5%, you know, like that's like a big improvement for your business. And we have some reports to do that. I don't know if you guys have comments on reporting.
Nope, all good.
Okay.
You covered it. Yeah, you covered it. Don't want to go down the rabbit hole.
It is quite the rabbit hole. We have about 8 minutes left of the stream. Andrew does have a hard stop. So if we did not answer your question, I'm going to throw a few more at them. But if we did not answer your question, please reach out via our contact page or in our Slack community, and just, you know, say Sam said to email and let us know your question. And I will probably be the one answering you back, but I will answer you back. Cameron wants to know, are there plans to build an SOP/how-to document that we can white label for our customer support team? What do others do to train their support staff?
Okay, so this is like how to use Paid Memberships Pro documentation, and then they can share it with their own users.
Christy's actually working on that, but
is she working on this?
But for Zest.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of like, I mean, we could probably use it and,
we should stop.
Tweak it.
Yeah, she should stop that and transfer to working on it. So maybe, I don't know how long it'll take us, but maybe that's something we start to work on. We don't have something like that, and definitely in a form that's white label. Like, we put all our documentation on our main site and in the codes and stuff like that. And I don't see us kind of doing that too much, other than like probably like a course on our site, and you'd have to white label it yourself, right? I don't think we would you know, go the extra mile to remove our branding from it. But so there is some kind of like user training stuff is on our mind. Be on the lookout for that on our website. And then you can use that. Or if you're building this, maybe, you know, we pay you to build it, and you build it for your customers, and then we also use your content on our site if you know what you're doing already.
We could, with the documentation drafts that Christy has, we could do a version of, like, if you had a membership manager, how can you train that membership manager to do some of the back end admin stuff? But
I mean, yep, yeah.
not so much to white label it, but to give that training to the people who are handling your memberships. We could probably make that happen. No ETA on when that documentation would come out.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
Make it happen.
It's tough. We're like everything's constantly updating, and it's hard to keep that stuff up to date. But we could do like a snapshot in time.
Yeah.
For some of the most common things, would be.
There were a few questions about the member directory. I'm going to drop the link to our member directory add-on that does answer a lot of the questions that you have. If you have any follow-ups, let us know on that, just because we're short on time at this point. And then I'm just going to scan through our comments to see if there's any.
Yeah, they're good ones.
Creative one. A touch of class. You're trying to upgrade from free to plus. I do know there's a person in the inbox that is having that problem. So if that's you, I will get back to you. If it's not you, make it be you.
The website is broken. Oh no. Yeah.
I don't think our website's broken. But definitely contact us, please.
Okay. Maybe something's happening. Someone asked about CRM stuff, but I guess they're not on. But I don't know. It's high level, fun to think about. But maybe it's there's quickies. We only have 4 minutes.
This one might be quick. Brandy says, can you tell me more about the Memberlite theme?
Memberlite theme. Yeah. So I think shortly, if you're going to use Paid Memberships Pro, you should probably use the Memberlite theme. We build it as it's meant to be, to make everything in Paid Memberships Pro look good. And it has like the best version. Kim is an awesome designer, and she built it to look really good and also be functional for the typical membership website. And the LITE in the name is like, it tries to be very light on page load, on kind of like the complexity of the code and the admin and stuff like that. So I think if you already have a theme, like, you don't have to switch. We also recently tried to just make the core Paid Memberships Pro look good no matter what theme you're using. But you're going to have kind of fewer design issues if you use Memberlite as a starting point. So we're kind of moving toward, I think Buddy Boss is a tool where 90% of people using Buddy Boss use their theme. And I think that's the future of Paid Memberships Pro is you probably should be using Memberlite. And we're going to that's similar to we're going to choose 1 or 2 gateways. We're going to choose 1 or 2 themes. It's kind of it's really hard to coordinate this thing. And the nature of WordPress is that, our plugin will work with a bunch of themes, and a lot of themes have styling specific for Paid Memberships Pro. We've worked with them, but if you want the latest, greatest from our minds, you get it in the Memberlite theme. And it's free, so you can download it and use it with Paid Memberships Pro.
And I did drop the link to the documentation of Memberlite.
Yeah.
We are in a kind of a transition period with Memberlite. So we are now hosting that ourselves. We're taking it off of .org from their theme library, if that's what they call it. So we are actively working on getting updated screenshots and working out some if there's any documentation changes with Memberlite, because there have been some improvements to the theme as well. But I did drop that link in there.
Yeah.
And that pretty much brings us to our hour.
Cool. Smash that like button. Hit subscribe. Yeah. That helps.
Join the Slack
community. Turn on the little ball icon. Yeah.
That helps us know that you like this video in particular, that the stuff talked about here was good, that we should bring Andrew back on, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we don't have Andrew on these open office hours very often. It's also late for him in South Africa, though. So. But we do appreciate both of you being here. And we'll be back next Friday with Coding with Sam.
Good deal. So, bye, everyone.
Cheers.